Good morning. This is Lee Street Beat, and I'm Sandra along with Tina Mann. We have a very special guest, Dr. Iobello. And welcome, Dr. Iobello. How are you today?
I'm doing well. Very glad to be here.
Yes. Yeah, we are very blessed to have you here, T. This is your niece. I want you to just go ahead and be proud and let us know, what's going on and why you felt compelled for us to have her on the show so that she can enlighten us, with all her knowledge, man.
Oh, well, Dr. Sheena, I'm gonna call her Dr. Sheena, is a medical doctor. And she's a resident for psychiatry. So she can speak on some things, but as a medical doctor, she can speak on probably a lot more. One of the reasons, because we all have family dysfunction, and it's good to have an opinion by somebody who actually is in the medical profession and studying psychiatric medicine, and just give a broad-based general opinion on how do we deal with the craziness in the society today. Because we got it, especially with this COVID, you got people in this pandemic, we're all clustered together, tensions and run high. There's a lot of friction. It's just like it's not normal for us, in some ways. And then you have a lot of other things going on. So,
So how do you think we should address that, doctor? I mean, with people, at home and stuck with COVID, they say a lot of people's relationships have changed. Some people have decided to remain together that might have, separated at the same time. There are other people who just decided, I don't know this person now that I'm here with them every day.
Sure.
So how's that?
I think that, of course, the effects and the levels of stress that the pandemic has caused, cannot be understated. And there's no one that hasn't been touched by the effects of this pandemic. And it's leading to increases in all kinds of mental health issues, including depression, anxiety, and even suicide. So these are some really important problems that we're facing right now. Going over, and like I was mentioning, I can speak to some of the articles that I've gone over, as well as my personal experience in the hospital and what I've seen with patients so far. There was one really good article in, I believe it's the American Psychologist Journal. It talked about using what's called relationship science to look at how the COVID-19 pandemic was impacting couples' relationships. And what it said was that the effect of the pandemic on couples' relationships is closely related to three major things. One being the broader context in which the couples are trying to manage their relationship. And this includes things like couples pre-existing contextual vulnerabilities, things like social class, things like minority status and life stages. And the other thing being the nature of the COVID-related stressors directly. And that's like the number of life domains that's affected. Did you lose your job? Was your health affected? Are you suffering from a sense of loss of community? These kinds of things, and the severity of those perceived losses. And the last thing was enduring individual vulnerabilities. And these are things like the state of people's emotional health to kind of begin with. And their personalities. And these things like personalities and the state of your emotional health can influence how people construe and perceive and respond to the stress of COVID. And it can exacerbate these external stressors caused by COVID, and it directly affect the interaction between couples. And so these all contribute to what in relationship science is called a dyadic process. And that process is things like hostility, withdrawal, and support. And
the lack thereof.
Exactly. And all of these things, of course, is very vital in times of stress. And it's very important to receive that comfort and that sense of security and support from your partner. So the article kind of went on to talk about ways to mitigate these main three areas. And one of the things that it said in terms of like the broader context, you know, your social class, losing a job, having insecurities in terms of income, looking for ways for opportunities, for job opportunities and earning greater income. And, you know, sometimes that extends to the level of policy and how much support government is providing for people, you know, but couples can try to understand, and understanding goes a long way, that these stressors are causing pressure on the relationship. And instead of looking at the relationship or your partner as causing the problem, understanding that there's a pandemic that's really putting a lot of pressure on the relationship. And so understanding in that could go a very long way as well. But looking for, you know, opportunities for employment and increasing your income. Another way.
So it's really important for them to communicate with each other, right?
Yes.
And let each other know what their stress is, you know.
Absolutely. Yeah. That cannot be overstated. But one of the things that the article went into that I thought was really interesting, I think a lot of people, myself included, jump to this communication as kind of like, you know, this will solve all the problems. But if you have a family who, you know, both wife and husband lost their jobs, no amount of communication is going to help that family in terms of the stress that that's going to cause. So, and that's the reason why they kind of separated out these kinds of stressors and what to do about each of them. And I thought that that was really interesting in this article. The second thing was the nature of the stressors, and that's kind of like how many domains of one's life is being affected. I was surprised to see in the hospital how many patients, and I do a lot of work with older patients, and they're prone to becoming very delirious in the hospital when they're there for extended periods of time, and things that contribute to that delirium. And by delirium, I mean an altered state of consciousness that kind of fluctuates. Patient can tend to become very agitated, very combative. Sorry, go ahead.
Confused.
Exactly. And so one of the things that contribute to that is just, like you said, confused. Like they're not sure what time of day it is. They're not.
I get that. I don't know what kind of day it is. I mean, literally, I'm sitting here. You know, I'm just going to talk about my dichotomy here. You know, my wife decided to work more of a full-time schedule. I was happy where I was, just sitting there watching the TV, but nobody was happy for me. Get up, exercise, take care of your health. And I told them I'm good. And then I said, I wake up and I said, well, what day is it? Is it Thursday? Is it Friday? And then because I don't have a structured thing to do on any of those days, I kind of lose track. But I do know it's Sunday because Sunday's the day we do the podcast. So I remember today. Okay, I'm good. I'm healed.
And that has an effect on your emotional health. You
Yeah.
might not realize that, but just not having that rhythm, that your internal rhythm that says, hey, it's morning, these are the things that I need to do. Okay, now it's night. um this is what I need to do now. It does affect your emotional health. But these patients are kind of in this hospital room. They're seeing all these strangers, all these faces that's just kind of asking them, I need blood, I need your vitals, I need this, I need that. And they're not seeing their family members.
Right.
We can't have visitors because of COVID. Patients who are at like a nursing home, their families have abruptly stopped visiting because they can't, because of COVID. And I have personally taken my cell phone and FaceTime family for patients, and the way it perks them up is just incredible to see. So just that sense of loss of connection and how important that is for people can also not be understated.
Well, some people are more of a social animals than others. I mean, when I was working, I work a minimum of 10 to 18 hours a day, but now, people say, well, why don't you want to do anything? Well, I've done this for 35 years. I'm not trying to do this no more. I'm just trying to ride this train to the head. But I also noticed that, and you've been to my house, my neighbors are nice, but, you know, we, I don't know. They're not somebody who I would say really warmly embrace. And so yesterday I saw one of the neighbors. I said hi, and he came and he spoke to me, and he said, "Well, you know what? If you get bored or lonely, hey, come by the house and come and visit me." I was a little taken back by it, I guess. I mean, it was a really nice, kind gesture. And I
Mm-hmm.
said, "Oh, okay." I said, "My wife is out of town right now, so but when she comes back," I said, "Yeah, maybe we'll stop by, because I've been watching all these horror movies. You go by, you come missing, and all like that. So I got crazy thoughts running through my mind. But I was really taken back by it. He says, "Oh yeah, come by," and I think maybe he's a little bit lonely too, and he just wants some different kind of company and all like that. So in some ways, I guess there's little silver linings of everything that even though it is a bad thing. So.
No,
Mm.
absolutely, absolutely. I think that a lot of good has also come out of the situation that we're in and this shared experience of the pandemic.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think because of COVID, a lot of people found strengths that they never knew that they had. I think a lot of people that had started projects and had dreams, and when they realized, well, you know what, I just lost my job, or I'm going to have to work differently, they found ways to be innovative. They found ways to be, profitable in different ways. Restaurants and businesses had to try to reorganize and still be supportive to the people and still manage to protect themselves and protect their workers, and at the same time, still try to be profitable. Some of them, weren't able to stick it out, even though they changed their business model because they just still went out of business. But at the end of the day, it's just like a lot of stuff is being burnt down so that things can be rebuilt.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So Corona has really really taught us as a world, how these things can happen, but that there's a coping mechanism that we all have to kind of tap into. If we don't, we gonna go crazy, right?
Right, right.
And we've seen
It brings
it.
our resilience
Yeah.
as human beings, which is really beautiful.
I want
Um,
to ask you, growing up in Belize and going through the school system here, then coming to the university and college here, what was the biggest difference that you noticed?
in terms of the school system.
Well, maybe not so much in terms of the school system, but like your peers, the other students when you're in class, do you find that they are not as much engaged or they're just as engaged as, because as in Americans, we always hear about, that we're lazy, the other people all over the world are far more advanced, we're going to fall behind. They study, they take it more serious. And I have found that to be true because I worked with a guy who was Ukrainian, born in the Ukraine, and everything was like 100% charged. You know, there was no holding back on anything and everything that he did, which was good because he was a perfectionist at what he did, and he did it good, you know. Whereas I'm just saying, as Americans born here, we was like, hey, you know, I only need 70% to pass, and that's all I'm going to give you. Maybe 72 because I feel good about it. So,
Right.
you know?
So yeah, I think that to your point, in some ways that I've seen that myself.
Mhm.
My experience is that in like, and so we call it primary school in
Yeah,
Belize. I don't know what it's called over here yet, like
Elementary
grade
school.
school.
yeah. You
Elementary
know, we
school.
have grade school, middle school, high school. I think you
Before,
call high school college.
yeah,
You
right
know,
before high school and then through high school. I think that's true, where it felt very authoritarian in the school systems in Belize, where it's
Mhm.
like you go to school and you better do as you're told and you
Right.
better do well in your classes. I think it starts leveling out in college, and then definitely if you pursue like a higher degree, master's and doctorate.
Mhm.
um and I think a big difference that I saw is just immigrants who come over here. This is like a huge opportunity for immigrants, and so they tend to take it more seriously, versus like an American who, this is my life, this is my country, I have this education as a resource kind of at my fingertips, I can get grants, I can get scholarships. And a lot of immigrants don't have that, so they have to make the best of it and do very well while they have the opportunity there.
Yeah, I know. Like, you know, as you know, my wife is an immigrant, your auntie, and I noticed the way that she goes at things as compared to the way that, say, I go at things.
Mhm.
So, and she's, you know, she doesn't understand. She says, well, why don't you do this and do this or whatever it is? And I, you know, my thing as an American, I don't have to, because I kind of know what the inroad is, what, you know, what the outcome is going to be. And the worst thing I think for any American, and Black Americans especially, is put in a whole lot of effort into something and then not fail to get what you really wanted, because that kind of devastates us and just sets us back. So I'm not going to put this 100% in. I'm gonna just go ahead and throw this 85, because this 85 will get me there. It's the wrong kind of philosophy, yeah, granted, because that 85 is gonna get me there, and I'm gonna hold back on this 15 in case I really need it, you know. So I
Yeah,
think
no,
that's kind of tough
I'm
sometimes.
learning a lot from you, T. I'm learning a lot from you, bro.
Well, me and you went to the same grade school, and I
Well,
just
you
want to
know,
let you
but
know.
I think I kind of look at it a little bit differently. I think I process it differently because she's talking about the dynamics between Americans versus those individuals who come
Yeah,
from other countries and see the opportunities. I look at the diaspora a little bit different in terms of just the fact that me and you went to public school. I mean, you and I went to private schools.
right,
There's division and there's laziness and there's disparity within just Americans. I'm
right,
just saying, there's people from the ghetto who feel a whole lot lazier and don't have the opportunities or and don't have to get up and go because they didn't have the experiences as people like us in the suburbs who went to private schools, who somebody like me who has an MBA. You
right,
know, I mean, there's that disparity within America. Period.
right.
Besides you talking about another country, we got people in Chicago who don't care about the school system that they're in because it's not as good as it needs to be, because if they were in another suburb, they'd have different opportunities. So yeah, I mean, you ain't said number the word really when you talk about country to country. That's right there within communities, period.
Okay,
You know,
so it's not a worldwide phenomenon.
the same phenomenon, that same, why don't these people get up and go, well, they didn't go to the same schools as you. They didn't have the opportunities that you had, so they don't feel the same way.
I think it's probably more apparent when looking at immigrants versus Americans, whether it be Black Americans, what
Oh yeah, y'all don't have no problem coming here getting 4-5 jobs. Okay, there's
Americans
no doubt. I mean, we get that.
Mhm.
We get that. Yeah.
Well, yeah,
But you
they're
know,
willing
I
to.
work 4 jobs myself too. So
Yeah,
I
they're
mean, yeah,
willing
y'all
to
willing
work
to do
hard.
any and everything.
We're not really into like I ain't trying to work but one
But
job,
we ain't
maybe
cut from that
two,
cloth.
and it's short term, you know. So yeah.
I think to Sandra's point, you know, it is a product of kind of like your surroundings growing up. If you're not used to seeing, you know, people go to school and that having that work out for them, you'll be less motivated to
Oh
do
yeah,
that. Why would
I
it work
agree.
out for
I
you?
agree. I mean, me and Sandra grew up in pretty much a middle class environment coming up. You know, our parents had cars. Um, you know, we went to a parochial school. We went to a good high school. You know, it was embedded in us, no matter how poorly you did in school, that you was gonna try at least go to college.
No
You
matter
Mhm.
know,
how
and,
poorly you did in school. That wasn't the philosophy in
and
my
I was.
house, because you weren't gonna get to college with poor grades. So I'm gonna need you, while I'm paying for this money for you to go to private school, I'm gonna need you to get good grades. I'm gonna whoop your ass.
Yeah, well, you know, I was more of a
That's how it came over in my
I
house.
was more of a challenge for my parents than my sister was. You know, they knew she was going to get in there, but one thing I did do, I didn't have the best of grades, but I tested well, and that was the redeeming factor for me. I test well. I can do a test, look at it, analyze it, and move on.
You
Plus,
know,
you know,
Down
when you
to
were
it, you
talking
perform.
about how immigrants look at the opportunities, it reminded me of the horrible stance that the past administration had about giving people from, you know, African countries, or, you know, opportunities to come here, or actually, you know, granting them less opportunities to come here, because, you know, by and large, people who come from, you know, different countries, they're more educated than us here in America. You know what I'm saying? And so you all come here extremely highly educated. And most of the times, not only do you come here highly educated, you come here seeking more education, you know, and you seek to build businesses and to do things. And that's why we really need immigrants. That's why, you know, it's important that you know, we support the new administration, because they are opening back up opportunities for immigrants to come and to really teach us. And we definitely needed that with the coronavirus. You know, we definitely need, you know, that kind of grassroots, you know, getting together with all these different countries to try to solve stuff, you know. And we do best when we work with everyone around the world, you know.
Mhm.
yeah, 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 we do. So, as a young mother, how is things going? Because that's a balancing act what you got going.
How old is the baby?
Huh? Yeah,
How
she
old is
got.
your baby?
The baby's doing very well. Yeah, it is definitely just that, a balancing act. You know, it's kind of like trying, how do I give my 150% to my training, and at the same time I definitely don't want, you know, the mother in me to feel a sense of sacrifice because of that. So how do I give 150% to being a mother as well? And how do I give 150% to being a wife? Because that's what I want to do, is give 150% to everything. So it is a balancing act. But so far, so good.
Well, that's
Everything is
good.
staying afloat.
That's so good. You know, I don't know. You know, I take my hats off you. You know, you're doing a whole lot of things and you're doing them well. We are really proud of you.
Oh,
So
thank
you know, I know you've heard it before, but we really are.
you. Thank you.
Because it's easy to talk about what somebody failed, but it's even more pleasant to talk about the accomplishments that you've done. And I know you're not done. I know you're going to be a great physician, or our great physician, and going to be a better psychiatrist. You know, get you some paying family members. That really helps. Because you know,
Well,
family always like advice for free. I'm gonna tell you that right now.
What you need to do is get you write you a screenplay, like, you know, Three Faces of Eve,
You
you
know,
know. So
you know what? I tell you
person,
what
they
we'll
got
do
multiple
is though.
personalities, and write that book and make that movie, girl. Let's talk about it when they come in there crazy, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
You know what we'll do maybe next time you're here. We'll do the cooking show with your aunt, and do put it back up on her Facebook page.
Fun.
Yeah,
Always
yeah.
down for some cooking with her.
Yeah, yeah, but you got to cook something that I eat.
His wife is the best. She's the best cook.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
definitely,
I mean, just the
definitely.
best.
Everybody talking Creole, like, oh my God. And I just said, Jesus.
So you should have like picked the language up by now.
Well, I can pick it up, but I can't speak it back. And when her best friend is over here and her husband Carlos is here, everybody's talking, and your Uncle Nate will be here in April. It's like I'm at the UN. I don't know what's going on,
Well, yeah, I think you do understand it by now, but
Oh yeah, I understand it, but it's like, can y'all just like slow it down, turn it down, just
it's an
I don't know,
exciting
just go
time
more ghetto ratchet, something
all
I'm
get
used to hearing.
That's that 72% Tyndale's trying to get.
Yeah, that's
He's
72%.
trying to get to that 72, and then it's like that. Stop.
Yeah, I just can't help it.
That means
I
to
just
reach
can't
too
help
much.
it. Hey, I'm just holding the other in reserve. I'm like a hybrid, not all gasoline. I got electric battery pack and the engines, the wheels kick in with electricity. So that's it. So just hold back a little bit. Don't give them all just yet. Okay. So you have any other?
You find that you've gotten more younger people? I mean, because I feel like younger people are really affected with COVID, and a lot of them, have been reaching out for help because they're just not used to being in school. They're just not used to not, being with their friends. And it's just been really kind of difficult trying to learn from home. I mean, a lot of us, we've gone to college, we took classes online, but some of these kids, they're in 7th, 8th, 9th grade. They're not used to that, Do you have more?
I haven't personally had any experience with younger patients.
Mhm.
But I've heard and read that it is very, very hard for kids at that age to kind of deal with the isolation that comes with COVID. They can't go to school, they can't go out and play with their friends. Now they're having more time at home. They're being confronted with, adult parents' addictions and aggressions, and things like that, which make it really, really hard to deal with in this time. So younger patients seeking mental health services has definitely gone up. And to that point, I think it's really important that these services are made more accessible to these patients.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
it's a lot to suss out,
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
It really is. And like I said, it's something that's affecting everybody around the world. So it's not just, it's everybody, every age group, My mom, she's COVID recovered, T, he's, been vaccinated. I haven't been vaccinated yet. Is there any kind of, groundswell about, how people are feeling about getting vaccinations in terms of, their psyche? I mean, for me, I haven't even searched for an appointment yet,
You better get on it.
In my experience, there are patients who are definitely like, yeah, please give me this vaccination. And then there are others who don't want it because of things that they have heard. And I always say, definitely look at the research, look at the evidence, before deciding what is right for you.
I mean, because African Americans, I mean, we are very hesitant because of, the past history of atrocities that have been put upon us, as an experiment. I mean, I'm not there, I'm just saying, I'm just, waiting, my mom has been vaccinated, so I'm just waiting, and I think that, since Johnson & Johnson has just approved their, one shot, I'm more of a one shot kind of person. I mean, I'm not saying, I won't get it, but yeah, I'm more of a one shot. I think I might be good. I'm in pretty good health. I mean, a lot of people during COVID, they said they had the COVID-15, COVID-20. I mean, I lost like 25 pounds. So I don't, I feel like I'm in pretty good health. And, but I am a person who, has had flu, has had walking pneumonia, has had all of those things growing up in Chicago. There are people who, say, I've never had the flu. I'm like, Bro, I've had the flu at least 3-4 times.
Not me.
He's never had the flu. I've been sick as a dog.
It is
You
raw.
know,
The flu
so
is
I
rough.
so I am about, you know, having a vaccination, you know, and I get that, but I'm just not, you know, I'm just gonna let a lot of this controversy die down, you know, with different neighborhoods and people getting
Yeah.
vaccinated and people
Well,
having.
I'm just going to say for myself, I wasn't going to get the vaccination right away. I wanted to take a wait and see attitude on it and see um, how it was going to go, because obviously I didn't trust the prior administration on anything they said, because they were never about the truth. But with this new administration and people coming on board, a lot more people coming on board and coming from actual authority, you know, instead of putting bleach in your system, it seemed more feasible. Then when I did decide to get it, I was going to do like you, Sandra. I was going to wait for the one shot, you know, Johnson and Johnson. But then when I saw the efficiency rate or whatever it was, it looked good at 70%. But when you go from 70 to 90, I said, let's go 90. But I did get it. And I would just say the hardest thing for me to do was get the appointment. And it was by sheer fate and luck that I got the appointment. But once I got into the system and got the vaccination at where they were doing it at, it was really efficient. And we live in Florida, me and the doctor, and I'm gonna just tell you, a lot of things don't really run well here, but that place there, it ran well. And I told my wife, I said, who's ever running this vaccination site here is not from Florida. And I stand by that. I stand by that. They're not from Florida. I don't know where they're from, New York, Pennsylvania, Michigan, Minnesota, but it was actually running pretty good. I'm beginning to believe that they got the managers from Chick-fil-A to show how to run people through the lines and and how to do it. So, but yeah. But anyway, we got a few minutes left. I'm glad to have you on here, Doctor. And we really appreciate you. We appreciate your insights on certain things. We know there are a lot of stressors out there. People just need to stay kind of patient, and this will be over. And I'm not going to say soon, but it'll be over.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely. You know, it's important to, while it is hard during these stressful times, it is very important to lean on your partner, and, you know, communicate these fears, and in turn giving your partner that sense of security in the relationship and in the commitment, and comfort and support. And I think, you know, that article postulated that all of these things go a long way in mitigating these negative, stressful effects of the pandemic.
Yeah. I just know, like, between me and your auntie, is that you know, she likes to shop at the grocery store. So you know, I think it's kind of a point of irritation.
Linda likes to eat.
Well, you know,
So-
well, yeah, but you know, I don't like to
That
go.
compliments what you like to do. What she likes to do compliments what you like to do. No?
Listen, I'm not going to get in this debate, because I'm going to lose whatever I say, so I'm going to leave that alone. But you know, she goes there, and I just say to myself, wow, you know, why does she have to go to this store? Why does she have to go to that store? You know, she says, because it's cheaper here. It's cheaper at Winn-Dixie. It's cheaper at Publix. It's cheaper at Aldi. It's cheaper at Whole Foods, which I really don't believe, but I've been told that on some.
Sprouts is cheaper.
And Whole Foods.
you know.
That's it.
So the funniest thing, we go to Trader Joe's, and she get this soy creamer, right? So they're no longer selling it. And I told her, well, there's no more need to go to Trader Joe's. So
You can order it online, probably.
you know, I know we can. I know she knows how to, but I think it's because if she orders online, she'll just get the one thing, and I'll be able to, you know, watch over what she's ordering. But when she walks in that store, you know, she got free reign.
control.
She goes in there, she buys what she wants, she comes on out and talking about where's things that we needed. I said, we didn't need another bottle of wine.
God bless her. God bless her. I do not like shopping.
It is COVID.
it.
She needs another bottle of wine, okay?
Nah, she don't need another bottle of wine. She's good. You know, she don't need another bottle of wine. But anyway, we're gonna wrap this up. This is T the Man speaking for Sandra Tucker and Dr. Abellio. You know, I just call her
Iobello.
Alabello. Anyway, tell Dr. Mason I said hello. Tell your mother we said hello.
I will.
S. Hacker couldn't be with us today. She's under the weather. Hopefully it should be okay. And until next time, this is Lee Street Beat, and we'll see you later. Bye-bye.
Thank y'all.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.